silence, is often misunderstood. People assume it's emptiness, a gap between words, an awkward pause. But silence is alive. It carries weight, and not the kind you can measure on a scale, but the kind that presses against your chest late at night when the world has gone quiet. It has texture, it has presence, and it has power. Silence fills a room not with sound, but with the absence of it. And that absence can be louder than any scream. It's why some of the most meaningful moments in our lives are wrapped in silence. A funeral, a heartbreak, a stare across the room that says more than language ever could. Silence isn't void. It's substance. It's the invisible ink between the lines of every conversation, every decision, every regret. And if you pay attention, it will speak. We live in a noisy world. Constant chatter, endless notifications, background music playing in nearly every public space. We have become allergic to silence, as if the absence of sound is dangerous. And maybe it is. Because when the noise dies down, silence roars. You hear the hum of your own thoughts, the ticking of your doubts, the whispers of fears you've buried under distraction. Silence forces confrontation with yourself. That's why we drown it out. That's why we can't fall asleep without a podcast, can't drive without the radio, can't walk without headphones. Silence is too raw, too revealing. It's not nothingness, it's the exact opposite. It's everything we've been avoiding condensed into a deafening presence. Noise shields us. Silence strips us bare. And when it does, we realize how unbearably loud nothing really is. Silence is not passive. It speaks a language we all instinctively understand, even though no one taught us. The way someone looks away when you speak can scream louder than an insult. The 3-second pause after you confess something vulnerable can feel like an eternity of judgment. The silence between lovers can mean comfort or collapse, depending on the weight behind it. Words are easy. We hide behind them, decorate them, weaponize them. But silence doesn't decorate, it exposes. When someone chooses not to respond, that choice says more than any reply. And when silence lingers in a relationship, it becomes a living presence, one you both feel but refuse to name. Communication is not only about what's said, it's about what's withheld. And sometimes, the words never spoken are the ones that haunt us most. But silence isn't always punishment, it's also medicine. In a culture addicted to constant stimulation, silence offers refuge. We fill every waking moment with distraction, terrified of being left alone with ourselves. But stillness is where healing begins. It's in silence that the body rests, that the mind unravels its tangled knots, that the soul finally exhales. Meditation isn't about chanting or enlightenment. It's about sitting in the quiet long enough to hear yourself again. The pauses between music notes are what make the melody. The breath between words gives language its rhythm. Silence doesn't erase life. It gives life shape. And when you allow silence to exist without rushing to kill it, you discover clarity that noise can't give. In stillness, wounds stitch themselves closed. In stillness, you remember what matters. Silence is not absence, it's presence at its purest. Yet silence can cut sharper than any word. The cold shoulder, the unanswered text, the phone call ignored, the deliberate pause before walking away. Silence is cruelty wrapped in invisibility. It leaves no marks, no bruises, nothing to point at, yet it devastates. The silent treatment isn't peace. It's war declared with no sound. And the cruelest part? It's deniable. I didn't say anything. Exactly. That's the weapon. Humans are wired for feedback. We need acknowledgement, even if it's harsh. Silence denies existence. It tells you you're not even worth breath. That's why ghosting hurts more than rejection. Why a parent's quiet disappointment wounds more than yelling. Silence as punishment is not passive, it's violent. And its power comes from its invisibility. Those who understand silence wield it like a tool. In politics, a pause before answering can be more persuasive than the answer itself. In leadership, holding silence makes others scramble to fill it, often revealing more than they intended. Silence can shift a negotiation, disarm a critic, or intimidate an opponent. It commands attention precisely because it breaks expectation. We anticipate words, and when they don't arrive, we lean in closer, desperate to hear what isn't being said. This is why silence terrifies the insecure and empowers the strong. Control isn't always about speaking the most. Sometimes it's about speaking the least. Silence creates gravity, and those who know how to sit in it can bend others around them like planets caught in orbit. But not all silence is chosen. Some silence is born from cowardice, from fear, from missed chances. These are the silences that haunt us at night. The words we should have spoken but didn't. The apology we swallowed. The confession we buried alive. We tell ourselves it was safer not to speak. But time exposes the lie. Silence lingers like a ghost, reminding us of every moment we stayed quiet when we should have been brave. It's the empty chair at the dinner table where someone used to sit. It's the unanswered "I love you" we'll never get another chance to say. Regret isn't about the words spoken, it's about the ones withheld. And those silences weigh the heaviest because they cannot be undone. There are silences that wound personally, and there are silences that wound collectively. History is full of them. Silence in the face of injustice. Silence in the presence of cruelty. Silence when truth was needed most. We like to think silence is neutral, but it's not. To stay quiet when someone is being harmed is to side with the harm. Entire systems of oppression survive not because everyone believes in them, but because too many remain silent against them. It's easy to justify silence, fear, convenience, self-preservation. But silence in these moments isn't peace. It's betrayal. Words can be dangerous, yes, but silence, when it hides truth, is deadly. Beyond the social weight, there's the silence we meet alone, solitude. For some, it's comforting. For others, it's suffocating. The silence of an empty apartment after a breakup. The silence of a room that used to echo with laughter. The silence of your own reflection staring back at you. Solitude is the silence that cannot be escaped. And in that stillness, all the things you've buried rise to the surface. Some people drown it out with endless distractions, terrified of what they might hear. Others embrace it and find themselves. The silence of solitude is the ultimate mirror. It shows you who you are without anyone else's noise to define you. And that, more than anything, is why we fear it. So what do we do with silence? We can fear it, weaponize it, run from it, but we can't escape it. Silence will always exist, pressing against the edges of our words, filling the gaps of our lives. Maybe the answer isn't to destroy silence, but to carry it differently. To recognize its power without letting it crush us. To use it with intention, not avoidance. To let it heal instead of harm. Silence is inevitable, but what it means is not. Every pause, every quiet moment, every withheld word teaches us something. Silence can suffocate, or it can steady. It can haunt, or it can heal. The weight will always be there. The question isn't whether silence will shape your life. The question is whether you'll let it bury you or hold you upright. If you agree, ink, rage, repeat, share, like, and subscribe. See you next time.